All right, what is good, team? We're in for legs. So this will be the last leg session before show. So it's today, Tuesday, show's on Sunday, so we've got about 5 days in between to let this leg fatigue dissipate. The objective of today's session is not to rinse myself. It's maybe 2, 3, 4 reps in reserve on most stuff, and therefore to kind of like prioritize tissue maintenance, but not to bury myself on the ground. So kicking off, same sessions as always, leg extensions to start, 2 working sets. And I think this is a great point to bring up, especially for someone who is competing while they're in their peak week. There is no benefit to doing anything differently. So do not change your program, do not change exercises, do not use things that you haven't used in the past, do not introduce any novel stimulus because the risk of injury, the risk of digging yourself too deep, a recovery debt is far higher than it needs to be, especially leading into show because you want to turn up nice and fresh. So don't do anything crazy. Do the same things over and over again, reduce volume, reduce intensity, turn up to stage fresh, looking your best. So, warm-up sets done, 2 working sets here, 10 to 15 reps, maybe 2 to 3 reps in reserve, see how we feel.
You can get there, you can get this. You're not trying to give him that? Yeah, he's in the strength. You don't look sick. He's just very, very strong. He's like that. That's the mentality. He just knows gym. I don't know it. I don't know the truth. You don't know beating. You don't know shopping. You don't know chilling. What he's doing, he's meant to be. That's what he's
We are on to leg press. So, new week, new leg press. I feel like every time I come back it's a different piece of machinery being used, but same setup, 45-degree leg press. I actually quite like this one. Very similar to the hammer strength one that I used last week, Life Fitness. Very similar brand, very similar range of motion, similar angle. So really, really nice. One thing you'll note and questions that I get asked a lot about leg press, especially is like lower back pain. So one thing you'll notice here, I've got the back pad underneath my lower back. So all it does is just kind of push my butt under a little bit. So when I get into that deep stretch, there is no like twisting of my hips. So it does save my lower back a little bit, which is nice. And I suppose if you are someone that does struggle with back pain on the leg press, putting a pad or a towel or a roller underneath your lower back isn't a bad idea. And I think there are a lot of new sort of leg presses out there now. One that I can think of off the top of my head is probably the Arsenal, where it does have like this scooped or angled seat to kind of sit the butt under a little bit, which allows a full range of motion without compromising your lower back. So those are my 2 cents anyway when it comes to back. Saving the lower back on leg press. 2 sets here, aiming for around like 8 to 15, a little bit wider spread here because I'm not trying to rinse myself too hard, but sort of matching load as of last week.
Squat police are coming for me. Trying to shoot.
leg press done. That was really nice. I went to hamstring curls, 2 sets, 10 to 15 reps, and then I'll finish on hack squat. So it's kind of been one of those weeks where it's worked out just like good for fatigue management. And I've spoken about like this heaps on the channel this week about moving from like, you know, a quad exercise to a hamstring exercise back to a quad exercise in order to kind of give the muscles you're about to train next a little bit of a break. So kind of started with leg extensions. We ended up going onto leg press. So I kind of went into that one a little bit fatigued, but not a bad thing because it did reduce overall load exposure on that leg press. Now I come onto the hamstring curls. Hamstrings are fresh, so I can give them a battering. Gives my quads a break because I've done 2 quad movements already before I finish on hack squats. But again, the positive there is it reduces load exposure. So all things considered, actually worked out a pretty damn good session. After this, probably just going to do some calves and some abs, and then that's us done and dusted for legs. Moving into the show, which is very exciting. So I'll get stuck into this. This is first work set. Okie dokie people, we are finishing off this quad session with pendulum squats. So I feel like every time I've gone to do something today, it's been busy. So at the start of the video, I said, don't change things, don't rotate exercises, don't do novel like movements. And what do? I think I've done a different exercise variation today, but this is me, not you. And I'm very well trained. So in terms of like, the point I was trying to raise was like, don't do random stuff. If it's similar movement patterns or just like exercise substitutions that still do the same thing in a roundabout way, not a terrible idea. Obviously, like for me, my hack squat has been my max knee flexion squat dominant pattern. Pendulum squat is no different. Max knee flexion squat dominant pattern, training the quads to a full range of motion. The only difference being that the pendulum squat is a little bit more sort of mid to shorten biased, where the hack squat is a little more lengthened biased. So I guess in terms of actual exercise selection, probably not a bad choice because there is less overall muscle damage when it comes to more mid to shorten position exercises compared to lengthened biased exercises. So probably a tick in that box. But anyway, 1 set, 6 to 10 reps, really just trying to milk the pause, really trying to get slow controlled, full range of motion here to maximize knee flexion and overall stimulus to the quads to finish off this session. So I'll shut up and I'll do my set. Oh yeah, that'll do. Oh my gosh, that is nice. So, as I mentioned at the start of the video, the goal was not to bury myself. So, especially on these bigger, more compound type movements, happy to leave a few reps in the tank there just to facilitate enough recovery as we get into the back of this peak week taper deload setup. So, that is this session done. I might finish off with some abs, or I might go eat some carbs. Haven't decided yet. So I made a promise on the channel, I think last week, that I would do abs more frequently. And I've done abs like twice a week, every week since then. So it really is a case of like doing the things that are hard and the things that you don't like doing. And generally for most people when that comes to like physique development, that's why we have lagging muscle groups, is because we avoid hard shit and we avoid the things that we don't like doing. So for me, like abs have always kind of been like a weakness because one, I didn't like training them, and two, they're just really fucking hard. So like if you've ever trained abs really hard, you get crampy, they get really, really sore. So then you don't train them because they're sore, and then you just kind of perpetuate how hard they are. So instead of making excuses, I just thought I'd do the work. So I'm gonna get stuck in here, 2 sets, 10 to 15 reps to finish off this leg session. So that is our last leg session done in this peak week for the Pro Series in the lead up to my first Pro Show. So, as always, if you guys get any value from the content at all, please make sure you like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. I don't think we're training tomorrow, which you guys will see this later anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but I think we've got a rest day tomorrow, maybe 1 or 2 rest days, and then we might have a light pump-up session in the back end of this week before we go to the check-ins on the Friday in Poland. So, I might see you guys later in the week here. I might see you in Poland. But if you want to stay up to date with it, make sure you keep an eye on the channel because there'll be new videos pretty much every day. So, until next time, guys.